1. At my hotel, we've been sold out from graduation and large events, but lately I've handled it like a champ. I've been positive and happy, enjoying people coming in, been seeing my amazing regulars who I love. All was well, until this small angry man came to check in. I was going through the process being friendly, but he seemed to not like it. I even mentioned how beautiful today was, and he just rolled his eyes. Okay then, I think to myself, let's make this quick. As he's taking out his ID and credit card, he asked, "Is there any way I can get a late checkout around 3 p.m.? I have to work." Our checkout time is 11 a.m. Check-in time is 3 p.m. I responded very positively. "Oh, just call the morning off. We do a first-come, first-served policy. So if you call any time in the morning, we can let you know if it's available." This is when I saw his face shift. "I'm asking now. So you can't grant it now?" "It's just because we're so busy. We're sold out all week from graduation. It is hard to determine if we can allow a late checkout 5 days in advance." "Oh yeah, he's here for 5 days. He switches his tone and starts yelling, "I'm asking in advance so you can't prepare around me? It's not that hard." "Sir, my housekeeping staff leaves at 3:30. Since we are sold out, most likely we'll need that room ready by 3 p.m. So I can't guarantee it now, but there is still hope. You can call morning of at any time." Now he is screaming at me. "I just don't understand how you can't give me this. You're a horrible front desk person giving me attitude over a question. I'm asking a simple question and you're just repeating yourself." I'm confused at this point. Why is he yelling? I can have a temper, but man, I was nowhere near getting mad. I was having a great day. I was smiling and using my best customer service voice the entire time. So I know I wasn't coming off rude. "I'm just answering your question. I can't promise a late checkout right now." "So you're repeating yourself. Stop doing that. Why do you keep repeating yourself?" He slams his hand down on the desk so hard, people in the lobby start to look over. I'm so confused on why this man is causing a scene over a request. I look at my colleague for help. He steps in. "She's just answering your question. The reason we can't offer it now is because XYZ. He looks at my colleague and yells, "Why are you talking? Did I ask you? Are you the manager?" "No, I'm just trying to de-escalate the situation." "You're not the manager, so stop talking." "I don't understand why you are giving me attitude. I'm talking very calmly and asking a simple question, and she refuses to give me an answer." "I gave you the answer. Call the morning of and we might have it available." "See, there you go again, repeating yourself. You didn't even tell me when to call. How am I supposed to know?" "In the morning. You can even call at 3 a.m. if you wanted." "Thank you. Now you are being helpful." Now I'm angry. I dropped my smiling, dropped my voice and looked him dead in the eyes. I say, "I think we're going in circles. You seem very upset. How about you take a step back and we can check you in later when you have calmed down?" He responds with, "I am calm. You're the one giving me attitude and arguing with me. This is poor customer service on your part. Now do your job and check me in so I don't have to look at your face anymore." Fine. I finished the check-in. I deadpanned my face and let my voice drop to a monotone. I hand him his keys and say sarcastically, "I hope you have a wonderful day." He stops, looks up at me and says, "Why are you giving me attitude?" "I'm not. I told you to have a wonderful day. Bye." And I wave. "What is your name?" I give him my name. "I'll be speaking to your manager about this tomorrow." I shrugged. "Okay. Bye." And waved. Another guest who witnessed the whole thing actually came up to apologize to me, making sure I was okay. Called him a dick, and told me if I needed a witness for managers, he will be one for me. We had a quick laugh at the dude and left. I'm stunned. This guy was delusional. I thought I handled that well with my answers, and I didn't understand how angry he got. Literally 0 to 100 over a request. I've had people get mad over little things, but never like this. The next day, I show up for my shift. My manager pulls me aside and tells me an update. This idiot put my name in a review and made up complete lies. I've never gotten a bad review, let alone have my name in it. I take pride in my job and work. This was like a shot to the heart. My managers understood that I was in the right and even saw on the cameras that I was calm and he was the one throwing a fit. But I can't shake this. I'm so mad that a person gets to slander my name over something he did and make up lies about it. He is even a childish coward and never came down to talk to my managers. He told them that he didn't even need to talk to them, that he was fine. How are people not held accountable for their actions? It's definitely a love-and-hate relationship with customer service jobs. Hellfreezer's note, I don't know the policy where you work, but if you get another customer like this, antagonistic from the get-go, give them the marching orders. It's not going to be pleasant in the long run. You're not going to avoid a negative review by capitulating to them. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. So, send them on their way. 2. This is mainly venting and rambling. I'm not gonna lie, but any advice and opinions are welcome. For context, I am completely new to the hotel industry. I've been working customer service and server jobs for a while, and as of recently, I've been trying my luck at moving to more office and receptionist type jobs. Mostly was just hoping for a job that doesn't need me to power walk around 24/7. High hopes, I know. I got lucky and was hired for the front desk at a nearby hotel. I was super excited, and it was my chance to branch out into something new. Days 1 to 3 went fine. It took me a bit to adjust to the earlier hours, and as I'm still finishing up my 2 weeks for my previous job, I'm working up to 14 to 16 hours at the moment. Not fun in the slightest, but the only way out is through, right? I'm enjoying the work so far. I'm just exhausted. For those 3 days, I've been shadowing the whole time, hopping in when directed to get some practice in check-in, check-outs, and getting more familiar with the system. Day 3 was a bit more hands-off, where I would have to go and find a supervisor for help, instead of someone being immediately on hand. Today is the 4th day, June 16th, it's Father's Day. After I clock in, I'm informed that the hotel is completely booked out, and that we're going to be doing a large amount of checkouts. No worries, right? I have all the support I need to get through this, right? Nope. Manager and supervisor lets me know that my coworker, who was supposed to be training with me, called out last night due to family issues, and that they, the manager, would also be leaving at 9 a.m. Checkout is 11 a.m. Cool. The house cleaning manager would be leaving as well, but both of them would pick up the phone if I had any questions. Great. Leaving just me at the desk on my own until 2 p.m. And there is quite literally no one else there besides housekeeping, of which the current crew does not speak English. It goes about as well as you'd expect. Around 11, both managers stop responding to messages just in time for checkout. I finally figure out how to put in reservation and extensions correctly, but don't know how to inform housekeeping of any late checkouts or room changes. Cue the flood of angry guests who understandably aren't taking the whole "I'm afraid I don't know, let me ask my supervisor and get back to you" very well. It's sometime around noon when I snap. A customer wanted to go back and check their room for a lost item, and needed a new keycard. Said customer was already checked out, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out the protocol or software for it. Mainly to just double-check that the room wasn't occupied or booked out to someone else in the short time they were gone. Cue the increasingly desperate clicking around on my computer, while the guy understandably gets more and more impatient. At this point there's a line, and I'm still frantically looking for an answer with no clue where to start. Finally, the dude snaps that he's in a hurry, and I, burst into tears. I stepped out to a side room, trying to get myself together, and just make it to the end of my shift. A job has never made me ugly cry, but I guess there's a first time for everything. At this point, likely due to my badgering, the housekeeping manager is responding again, thank God, and they get another employee to come in and help. Said employee comes in, tells me I need to chill out. Really? No kidding, dude. And helps get everything sorted. But I'm angry. The more I think about the situation, the angrier I get. How on earth did anyone think that this was okay? Even if my coworker did end up calling out, we have the same experience level. It would still have hit the fan. The place is short-staffed, but don't know if I should even try to stick it out with the place if this is how management handles things. Hellfreezer's note: no, you definitely shouldn't stick it out. It's clearly poorly ran. They're short-staffed because they're not training people properly, and people aren't then sticking around because they're put under too much pressure. Run for the hills. It's not going to improve. The only thing that would improve would be a complete overhaul in their management system. Look for something else. It's good that you're branching out and trying new things, and perhaps working in a hotel is for you, just not this particular hotel. Best of luck to you. 3. We are very close to a bike trail, and host a lot of people traveling across the state via this trail, especially during the summer. Sometimes there are biking groups that stop in for a night together. This night was much like that. I came in for my 3 to 11 shift with about 12 of 24 people in this group hanging out in our lobby with their gear, waiting for the rooms to be turned over. The good news is I kind of expected this. It's not super uncommon. I settle into my shift, and around an hour or so in, most of the rooms are ready. So I let the group know, and they queue up. Well, this gentleman kept popping up behind people and asking if his room was ready. After the 3rd time of other guests and myself telling him to just get in line, he finally did. First instance of, at the very least, rude behavior, but maybe it was a cultural difference? He did have an accent that I think sounded Eastern European. When he finally gets to the front of the line, he's obviously very irritated, but gives me the name on the room and his ID. The only problem is neither of the names on his room seem to sync up. I say, "Do you go by any other names?" When he asks why, I explain the names look different because usually I'll investigate a little more, maybe have them say their name, because it's easy to mishear or misspell names. Things like that, and there are 2 of us on staff with audio processing disorders, increasing this likelihood. But he immediately gets angry. I want to emphasize his reason for being mad was valid, but it was his lack of control and maturity that was the problem. It turns out my coworker from this morning had let them run his card for incidentals with the intention of them just picking up their room keys later. But she didn't tell me this, and I'm not sure why she did it. So he's yelling at me, "My card was good enough to pay for the room." Technically the group was paid for, it was just incidentals. "But not good enough to get my keys?" Again, I'd be mad too, but this man begins pounding on the desk and swearing at me and towering over me, intentionally trying to intimidate me with his height. Which, when the intention is clear, really grinds my gears. I am the same height and weight as Danny DeVito. 4'11", 160 pounds. He was a little over 6 feet. This behavior cemented to me, though, that I shouldn't release the keys. What is he going to do with this energy? Because I can see him using that energy to hurt someone or break something. I tell him when I see his girlfriend's ID, I'll happily pass out the keys, but I cannot at this time, and I'm sorry. After all, there were too many questions with the name, and the level of anger was a major red flag to me. I'd rather have him be that angry in public where there's a camera and a crowd of people than let him take that anger private. He continued to complain, pacing around the lobby and occasionally yelling at someone on the phone, until she finally showed back up at the hotel about half an hour later, and I gave them their keys. Later on, I heard her quietly talking to someone on the phone in the lobby, and she said, "He's never acted like this before, I just don't know what to do." And it took everything in me to not shout, "Run!" 4. Last night, we had sports teams in, and we were sold out. Something normal at this time of year. It was loud, stuff was a mess, parents drinking and kids running around all night. So I had my hands full all night. Looking at the cameras at the end of the night, I saw children in our event space. I asked them to leave nicely, and all but one went on about their business. He was a teenager, clearly older than the others, maybe 15 or 16, about my height, maybe an inch shorter, and I'm 6'1". I go, "Bro, come on man, you're old enough. Please just go back in the commons area with everyone else." He responds with, "I'm sorry, bro," and starts this fake crying with boo-hoo sounds and all as he is walking off, which, whatever. but then he stands at the door doing it, just outright not leaving. I relay back, "Just screw off, dude, you're just being a pest at this point." He curses at me, and calls me a slur for gay people. So I come around the corner and say, "If you want to play that game, I can just kick you out. Who do you think you are?" He laughs in my face, and this enrages me after the night I've had. I go, "I know you're insecure and acting out for attention, but that doesn't give you an excuse to act like a little butthead. I'm tired of this. Say something like that again, and you're done. Try me again, I dare you, except with much more cursing." Now, I start walking towards our commons area, and he pushes me in the back and tries to square up with me in the hallway, saying I'm a bitch. I quip, "Really, dude? What are you gonna do, huh?" He does nothing but talk, coming at me, the same slur, and insulting me again, keeping his hands up like he's gonna punch. I used to box in high school. I never had the intention of hitting him, and never raised my hands or anything. But I also wasn't going to let him sucker punch me in the back or something. Worst case, I would have tried to wrestle him if it came to that, and he actually did try to throw a punch at me. Thankfully not, though. As we're arguing, he keeps getting closer, and I'm basically standing in place saying, "You aren't going to do a damn thing, Junior." And he keeps on. Finally I go, "Then why are you still standing there? I'm wide open, do something if you're so tough. Or are you only tough when I turn my back?" Mom overhears it at this point because we're yelling, comes over and shushes her son, and asks me what happened. I basically outlined how he was somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. I asked him to leave, he wouldn't. He then called me a homophobic slur and tried to run off, and then I confronted him. Told him, "Say something like that again, you're gone." He pushed me in the back. I told her when I get back to the desk he will be lucky if the cops aren't called. She apologized and told me if I allowed him to stay, she would make sure he doesn't go anywhere and wasn't having it, and chewed this kid out in front of me. He stayed by her on his phone the rest of the time I saw him. I decided, even though he pushed me, to leave it be, since she was nice and respectful, and it's a nice change of pace when parents do what they're supposed to do. That being said, I never really have lost my cool before, and it does make me feel bad. It was an intense night, and I was under a lot of pressure. I've done this job a long time, and never responded to this level. This group was just very rough and difficult all night long. Might, after almost a decade, consider a weekend job. This isn't it. After 7 years, I've about had it. Anyway, cheers, guys. Hellfreezer's note. I don't think you have any reason to feel bad. So what, you cursed at him a bit. He deserved it. You were quite restrained and almost dignified, considering what he did. You would have been fully justified in calling the police. He probably figured because he was so young he could get away with doing anything and you wouldn't retaliate. Well, he's right, you shouldn't hit minors, but you can certainly get the police involved when they are, being irresponsible. But you did what you felt was the right decision, and I respect that. I hope you don't have to deal with them again, or at least not anytime soon. 5. So this happened a couple of summers ago. I live in an area of Virginia that's dead throughout the year until roughly mid-May. Tourist season was just picking up, and at the time I was helping my cousin construct an addition on a house. This meant I had to get up earlier than usual, which is no real problem. Work is work after all, and it was nice to have a bit of side income. But due to the fact that I had to be up earlier usually meant I missed breakfast, or had to get it on the road. He had gotten in contact with me that morning to let me know there would be a bit of a delay, and we had enough time to eat something because he was waiting on a shipment of lumber and shingles. So I decided to stop off at McDonald's to grab a couple of sausage and egg McMuffins and a couple of coffees. I go in, make my order, nothing out of the ordinary, yet as I'm grabbing my order and walking out the door, I notice some state troopers come speeding into the parking lot of the hotel, which was right next to the Mickey D's, and they're coming in hot. Lights blaring in full-on emergency mode. Not going to lie, I'm the curious sort. A few more police officers show up, and I'm starting to notice McDonald's parking lot is more or less blocked off. I call my cousin to let him know so he could tell the homeowner. As I stand there, I start sipping on my coffee and snacking on my sandwich, and I just watch. One officer comes running out of the office with a key card and lets himself into the hotel room. 3 officers follow. As I'm watching this unfold, I notice one of the ladies of the cleaning staff standing in the parking lot with a worried expression on her face, and she's just wringing her hands. She looks like she's trying so hard to keep it together. I wrap my sandwich back up and put it back into the bag before making my way over to her and asking her 2 important questions. Are you okay? And what's going on? She breathes a heavy sigh and looks over at me. Sweetheart, you would not believe the morning I'm having. No, I'm not doing so great right now. I went into that room, and the woman that was in there was nowhere to be found. There was blood everywhere, and I think she was stuffed under the bed. I saw hair poking out from underneath, and I freaked out as soon as I saw that scene. That's why the cops are here. I had a lump in my throat when she told me this. It was almost like I'd swallowed a lead weight. This is a quiet area, and though I can't say violent crimes don't happen here, it's actually quite rare. If somebody meets an untimely demise in these parts, it's usually due to a car accident or an overdose. Yes, we are smack dab in the middle of the opioid crisis in my area, and those types of passings are unfortunately quite common here, but hardly ever murder. So I'm just standing there, watching these police officers work, and less than 10 minutes later, something baffling happens. The 3 police officers come walking out of the hotel room, busting a gut, laughing. The oldest of the 3 officers, I'm guessing a higher-ranking state trooper, folds his arms and looks at the cleaning lady before asking her to come over. At this point, I start making my way to my car, because it's parked only a few feet away from everything that's going down. I roll my windows down. As I stated before, I'm nosy, so I take a phone call to my cousin in order to accidentally overhear what he's telling her. I pay close attention to the fact that these 2 younger officers are still standing there chuckling amongst themselves and joking about the situation, though thankfully not at this woman's expense. As it turns out, the crime scene was nowhere near as severe as she previously thought. The blood stains turned out to be deep red hair dye that somehow got splashed on the walls and carpet, and the hair under the bed turned out to be a weave that got caught on a loose nail on the bottom of the box spring. From what they could surmise, the tenant in that room must have been dyeing their hair when they dropped the bottle. It rolled under the bed, so they attempted to crawl under the box spring in order to get it. The bottle was still under the bed, and there was a deep crimson stain all the way around it. They figured the person staying in that room saw the damage they had done and decided to dodge management by leaving it sometime during the early hours of the morning. If there had been a person in that room, they didn't leave much evidence that they were there. Everything save for a business card in the bathroom had been packed up. It was thanks to this business card that the police came to realize the room had actually been rented out to a well-known, how should I put this, woman of ill repute? Because the business card advertised her highly illegal in my state, escort service. I would come to find out a couple of days later from the younger state trooper during one of my coffee runs that they had in fact called the woman that night, as she was turning tricks at Stuckey's, a kind of notorious gas station and gift shop right off the highway, not too far from where I am. She got charged for the damages done to the hotel room and the cleaning, but nothing else because, let's be real, the worst thing she did was damage a hotel room with some hair dye. They couldn't prove she was using it for any other reason. But yeah, thankfully the situation was nowhere near as severe as previously thought. It would have been the talk of the town for ages. Not saying that it isn't, people still mention it from time to time, but only because of the fact that it's so laugh-worthy. If anything, at the time, I felt so bad for that poor cleaning lady that thought she'd walked into a crime scene. To be fair, she did the right thing, but that cannot be an easy thing to walk into first thing in the morning. It wasn't funny for her at the time, but the thing about small towns is we run into each other at the grocery store, gas station, wherever, and she remembered me from that day. Now she gets a laugh out of it, but she told me her blood pressure spiked and she was worried they were going to need an ambulance for her, until she found out what was actually going on. But honestly, if you're going to dye your hair in your hotel room, the bathroom is there for a reason. Please think of others. Cleaning staff has it hard enough. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 150. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. If you'd like to send in a story yourself, the email is in the description, kingofthecities@gmail.com. And if you'd like to get the videos all at once, you can support me on my Patreon page, which is also linked in the description. You'll also find links in there to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring, as well as the Hellfreezer Discord server. And if you really enjoyed today's video, you can leave a tip for that by clicking on the heart with a $sign underneath the video player. Although that is not required, and none of it is, but I very much appreciate the help. Okay. And we have a birthday shout-out from Genevieve to Enza. And Enza is 34. They turned 34, as they have done for the past 3 years, on the 5th of June. I completely missed the email, so that's why we're doing it late. Many apologies, but better several weeks late than never? Maybe? Anyway, I'm going to shut up and sing happy birthday to you. And I hope you did have a good birthday, and as I forgot, as the self-appointed king of birthdays, you can have the rest of the year to celebrate. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Enza. Happy birthday to you. And I really do hope you had a good one. Okay. No other bits and bobs today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, when it comes to sprinkles, be they on donuts, cakes, or maybe you're one of those people who just likes to sprinkle them on bread with butter, do you like the chocolate or the rainbow kind? Personally, I like the rainbow kind, but I wouldn't kick the chocolate out of bed. I don't know why they'd be in bed. It'd be quite messy. They'd get everywhere. But I like them nonetheless. Let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, let's move on to the answer of the day from a previous video. And this one comes from Coahw 149. And was, would you prefer coffee-flavored tea or tea-flavored coffee? And today's answer comes from Cats Over Brats. I had coffee-flavored tea once. It was alright, but nothing beats the real deal. Coffee all the way, but the answer is still the same. Coffee-flavored tea. Thank you very much for your answer, Cats Over Brats. And with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.